So I want to just make a quick video on something real quick. This isn't going to be obviously nearly as long as my video from yesterday, but kind of pertaining to some of the same topic. Kind of summarizing some of the points that I made in my video from yesterday, for those who didn't want to watch a 2-hour long live stream about the issue. A lot of people have been getting very pissed with Tulsi Gabbard's recent comments. Some people say, like, I'm done with her now. I'm writing her off. How could she say these things? How could she support drone strikes? How could she say these things about the border? But I want to focus just in particular for a moment, like with the drone stuff. So someone commented on my video, and apparently YouTube took their comment down. I got the email notification on it, so I was able to read it in my email, but I couldn't respond to it on YouTube because they had posted like some video links, and I know YouTube can get touchy about that kind of stuff. So they may have removed their comment based on that or whatever. But either way, it wasn't there anymore for me to reply to it. But as they pointed out, like Tulsi did say, like, yeah, we should have accountability for the drone strikes and this and that. He said that she didn't support the drone strikes. And I think where people are getting that notion is the fact that she basically said that there'd be less casualties from the drone strikes than there would be from putting boots on the grounds and, trying to do things like that. Okay. But, a lot of people are just, well, how could she say these things? How could she support this? Why is she still in the military? As I pointed out yesterday, okay, I believe that when Tulsi Gabbard enlisted, she fully believed that she was doing a service to her country to go off to fight and serve, to try and help protect Americans from these terror cells, these jihadists, right? And why shouldn't she believe that? I mean, that's what the mainstream media was pushing down everyone's throats. That's what we were hearing 24/7. Every news outlet was covering it, okay? And every news outlet, that takes money from people like Boeing or, Honeywell, whatever, all these DoD contractors, the pro-war message, even to this day, is still extremely, extremely strong, okay? So she enlisted to go serve. And for those who try to compare it to like a Bush or a Cheney all of a sudden, I mean, hey, they just flat out pushed war with no end and wouldn't actually go serve when it was their time. You got to give her credit at least that if she does have what some might deem some sort of a hawkish stance, and that's, I'm using other people's terms there, okay, at least she's got the guts to go serve. At least she's putting on a pair of boots and a uniform to go, serve her own time, okay, for something that she cares about. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, if she says that we have to go in and we have to stop these terror cells from forming, we have to do this, we have to do that, okay. As I said yesterday, I think really that's a slippery slope because a lot of people are going to use that to try to influence being the world's police. That's kind of what got us where we're at today, right? They say that, well, we got to do this stuff because it's gonna lead to an attack here, and it's forming in another country. To which I say in response to that, why does it have to be us? Why can these other countries not fight and do for themselves? Why are they not able to try to put down radical groups like this from forming in their own country? Why does it have to be us? Because if you do say that, you're advocating for us to still, in a way, be the world's police, okay? And I have a problem with that. But people will then say, well, why does she feel this way? Why does she feel that we should keep these terror cells from forming? To which I say in response, I think ultimately you have to look at what has she been doing all this time? Besides the Congress, she enlisted in the armed services. As I said in my video yesterday, this is one of the reasons why war has to be avoided at all costs. The issue with the kids being killed, okay? Dave Smith really went on a rant about Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, he really let her have it, right? So, he went off like how babies were getting killed and all this stuff, So how could you support this? How could you support this? Look, I don't think Tulsi Gabbard supports killing babies. Okay, I think saying that even is way too much of a stretch. But as I pointed out yesterday, the casualties of death, that's one element of war. And that's why it should be avoided at all costs. Another element that no one seems to want to consider in the middle of all this is what it can do to you mentally. Okay. Tulsi Gabbard, as someone pointed out in my live chat yesterday, okay, she was responsible for running reports on death casualties or whatever at different points when she had gone over to serve, okay, when they called her up. Okay. So she was seeing a lot of the people who were dying as a result of these wars. Okay. But aside from that, I mean, she's just been serving all this time. You know, she has had to have either known about someone that died in combat that she might have knew at some point, thought they were a good person. In other words, how many people has she watched go serve and die? Now, you could argue that, well, they're in the war, so their death really was because of bad, foreign policy and getting us into endless regime change wars. You could, of course, make those claims, but ultimately, who planted, the landmines? Who fired the bullets? Who strapped on a bomb to become a suicide bomber? It wasn't Bush and it wasn't Cheney. It wasn't Obama and it wasn't Trump. They might have put us there. They might have kept us there, but ultimately, it was the people that they sent us there to fight who were responsible for some of the other people who she probably considered a friend, maybe even almost like family, possibly dying. Okay? Those sort of things are going to influence, right or wrong, how you look at a situation. That's why there are so many veterans who don't share our opinion on, let's just let, the jihadists be. Okay? There are a lot of veterans who come home with the notion that those people are just fucking evil. They really do. They come home. And now you as an armchair quarterback could nitpick that ideology to death. Okay, you could go over there, well, this action from us have caused this chain reaction to happen to us over time. I've heard those arguments. Is there truth to them? Absolutely. I mean, I've made them myself. But the point is, does that change how that person feels who watched someone that they really cared about get blown to bits? Does that really change how they feel? I mean, like, if that were you, how would you feel if you watched your friend get blown to bits? Like, at a certain point, the facts of why it happened become irrelevant to the fact that it still happened. It's no different than people who had relatives who were criminals that got shot by cops. Well, they were a criminal, right? So, if they were threatening the life of a cop, or if they were robbing a store at gunpoint and the cop pretty much had to do what he had to do, I mean, you would think under this same ideology, it is what it is, right? People don't react that way, though. And you know why? Because it's still their relative. It's still their son. It's still their brother. It's still a cousin, grandson, something. They don't care about the fact that the person was holding someone else at gunpoint. They don't care about the fact that, if they weren't doing what they were doing, they might still be alive. It does not matter. It's just the fact they're dead, and this person is the one who shot them. Right or wrong, I don't care. You killed my loved one. So why do you think someone who's serving overseas in the military, watching people around them die, is going to react much differently, potentially? It's a human reaction. I mentioned my grandfather. My grandfather served in World War II over in the Pacific. Served on 3 ships, okay? But the one he always talked about the most was the USS Chicago. USS Chicago was sank by a Japanese attack, okay? There were people who died that day. Some of them were probably really close to my grandpa. What I know is that my grandpa was not a hateful person. He was most certainly not a racist person. But there were things that affected him and how he had an outlook towards Japanese people that plagued him all the way till he died at the ripe old age of 95. Now, was he right? No. But that's what war does. That's what these atrocities that are committed in war do to the mind. And if you want to write someone off over that, you do you. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. I think that if you see someone that you respect or respected, and you hear him say something that you don't agree with, cancel culture is really not the best way to win the battle. Discussion, conversation, that's the way that you win a battle. You don't convince me my position is wrong and your position is right if we once had somewhat of a friendly basis, or we could have a cordial conversation. You're not going to convince me you're right and I'm wrong by basically saying you suck and I want nothing to do with you anymore. I'm just going to write you off. You don't win me over that way. You win me over by explaining why you think your position is right and my position is wrong. And that is a symptom of a bigger problem in our society today. People don't want to talk. They want to fight. They want to argue. They want to cuss and yell and just, scream and, no, I'm right. Just throw temper tantrums like a baby, right? But that doesn't win the battle. It doesn't win an argument. It doesn't win the conversation. You're only going to piss the other side off when you act that way. Conversation, talking it out, that produces far better results almost all the time. And so for those who don't like what Tulsi said, first thing, and I say this for anyone, okay? I think each person deserves the consideration before you criticize. Put yourself in their shoes and try to look at it from their lens. How would you feel? Try to understand first before you criticize, okay? So, for example, when I look at George Bush and I hear him push off his pro-war rhetoric, I looked at it and I said, okay, so what would make George Bush want to be so pro-war? How about Dick Cheney? What would make them want to be so pro-war? Well, let's see. Did they serve in combat? No. Did they watch their close ones, get blown up around them or read? Well, they might have saw something about someone they knew that went to serve, but they didn't actually go over there to serve. Okay? What we do know about them is that they're taking a lot of money to be pro-war. So from that point forward, I can then make the conclusion they're pro-war because they're a corrupt motherfucker and they were bought off to be pro-war. And that's different than someone who might have served and watched people around them die, and that has, influenced how they look at the people who were directly responsible for the death. Not indirectly by sending us there, but the people who actually blew themselves up to kill my friends, or were firing RPGs to kill my friends, or planting mines in the ground to kill my friends. Okay? That's going to influence how I think about that. No different than the people who see relatives shot by police, even if they were right smack dab in the middle of committing a violent crime. Do they just take that, set that aside and say, well, they got what they had coming to them. They're over here threatening somebody else's life. Kill or be killed, right? Hey, I don't care if they were my son. They had it come. Do you hear people say that? No. You know why? Because it's an element of humanity. Right or wrong, people will defend who they care about. And if they're watching one group of people kill the people that they care about, and if you're in the military, you better care about the people around you. That you want to talk about a team environment. You got to trust the people around you to have your back, and they got to trust you to have theirs. That is an element of being in the military that is critical. Ask someone who served if you don't believe me. Okay? So it's just the overall point. It's an element of humanity. She cared about a lot of these people. If she's seen what's happened, then you've got to afford her that element of humanity to say, maybe this is why she feels the way she feels. And if I want to change her mind, then let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it. But cancel culture, I don't win anything. It's not going to get any progress. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to really change anyone's mind. It's just going to cause more bickering and fighting and a pissing contest. And it ain't really going to do anyone any good. That's my take. That's some food for thought for people to think about for just a moment. And it ain't just about Tulsi. Take someone around you. As I explained, these are how prejudices can be born in the first place. So if you know someone, if you see someone who has an outlook that you don't think is appropriate or is outdated or is slightly prejudiced in any way, and you see that, before you write someone off, take lessons from people like Daryl Davis, who have converted many people within the Ku Klux Klan to leave it. As a black man, he did that. Take lessons from people like that, and instead of engaging in a cancel culture, try to put yourself into their position and see why they might have a misunderstanding, why they might have a rage against a certain group, why they might have anger over a certain group of people. Try to put yourself there and understand, why would they think this way? And if you can look from that lens and see that this person might not have true hate in their heart, but an anger and a confusion over pain that has been inflicted upon them that has led to this, if you could see elements of that, then try to talk to that person. Sit down and try to rationalize with them. Explain things maybe from a different viewpoint they haven't thought to look at before. You might find out that's a far more productive thing to do with your time than to engage in cancel culture. But let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on this? Drop them in the comment box down below. If you like this video, make sure you're hitting that like button and share this around. And we'll see you next time right here on the Lone Wolf Podcast and the TFP Network. Take care, guys.